as a team, Walker and United, we want to try and honour that privilege to be able to work with Ford and try and give him that first championship in the Gen 3 era. So no doubt all the other Ford teams are firing on all cylinders too. We definitely want to try and make sure we could be the first Ford team in the Gen 3 era to win a championship next year. So we'll work really hard on that.
This is the KTM Summer Grill. I'm Andrew Van Leeuwen, joined by Stefan Bartholomaeus, and a man who won just about every single award that was on offer in Supercars in 2024. Unfortunately, except the Supercars title, but we'll have a chat about that as well. Chaz Mostert. Chaz, you have just returned from the dentist, so thank you for taking the time to have a chat with us. I hope your mouth is feeling okay.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for being pretty flexible today. So yeah, unfortunately decided to get a normal checkup with the dentist, but they said I needed a little bit more work than I needed. So hopefully I'll look nice and sharp next year. But yeah, so if I'm drooling a little bit or slurring, it's just the dentist.
We can blame it on that. No drama at all. Let's have a chat about your 2024 season, because boy, it was a busy one. You know, you were obviously racing in Supercars full time, that being your job. Competing in GT World Challenge Australia, you had a child. Like, what an amazing year! You must be exhausted by this point.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to be in the Christmas break now, be at home a bit more. I think the lead up to Adelaide, I think I was away 5 weekends of the 6 leading into there. So yeah, it's nice to be into the Christmas break now. Getting married at the end of December, which is really, really cool. So I pretty much tried to just line everything up into 2024. So started the race team, had a beautiful baby, getting married, raced GT3, raced Supercars. It's yeah, everything's in 2024. So hopefully 2025 is a little bit quieter for us, but it's been a really enjoyable one, that's for sure.
That string of awards that you picked up at the end of season gala included recognition from your fellow drivers, from the media, from the industry members who voted on that Jim Richards award. What did all that mean to you?
Yeah, it's reflecting on it is unbelievable, to be honest. It still hasn't quite sunk in. I feel like, you know, when you're a driver a little bit older like myself, you go to the gala each year, and generally us drivers were so focused on the championship, and you know, you always generally find someone else clapping there. So I felt like probably it was a little bit rude on my part getting up so many times, but in the other side of things, just so honoured that I got picked for such prestigious awards. I think the Jim Richards one was something really special to be, you know, the brand new award, and watching how that kind of scored a bit like when you watch the AFL Brownlow and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty crazy. The Barry Sheen is such an amazing award, I don't feel like, I feel like I'm a bit of a larrikin, have a bit of fun, but you know, someone like Barry Sheen and his personality, when you watch back of clips of him, they were just so great Aussies and straight, great funny guys, basically a bit Aussie bogans. But I feel like it's so hard to live up to that this day and age as well. So the one that really kind of caught me off guard was the driver's driver. For me, every week in, week out, we go racing. Every driver in pit lane pushes as our team and myself so hard to try and get the results, and Supercars is so special and how competitive it is. So to get nominated for that one really kind of shook me a fair bit too. So and then most popular driver with the fans is so crazy. I mean, look up to guys like Craig Lowndes and how much time and effort he gave to all his fans, and when he retired, it was going to be leave us such a big hole in the sport, and hopefully we're kind of doing him a bit proud between all us drivers, because he definitely took a lot of load off pretty much the whole category at a point.
There were plenty of highlights on the track as well, with a few wins and third in the championship. But was it a little bit of a missed opportunity, the fact that you sort of didn't even go into the last round still in contention?
Yeah, for me, I try not to really reflect on the factors that we didn't win the championship. I mean, I have to look at the year before where we didn't even get a race win. We made a few changes in the off season into this year at Walker and United, and had someone like Sam Scafidi come along, which massively influential in the team, and to be able to turn that competitiveness around from 23 to 24 is probably something that I'm most proud about. Like I said, I think leading after Gold Coast into Adelaide, I win as a team and we lose as a team, but I feel like we had a real opportunity this year where just be talking about being in championship title and in the hunt and putting a team like Triple Eight under a bit of pressure there for those lead up before the Enduros was something really special to be part of. And I hope that I know myself, I'm using that as a lot of fire in the belly going into next year, that we can go bigger and better next year and be stronger, and no doubt talking to a lot of guys and girls at the team over the break as well at our Christmas party the other week, that they can feel it too. So sometimes you've got to reflect on when you don't get that win, what it actually does for us, and I think our whole organisation is more than motivated in 2025.
The journey for yourself at Walkinshaw, you went there to spearhead that team. I mean, it is remarkable growth compared to what you walked into. Does this feel like the final step before you really can be a title contender right up to that last day?
It's kind of really hard to look quite into the competitiveness straight into next year, but I'm really short-term goal. I focus on every session, every qualifying, every race, and making sure that each time we go out, we get better and better, and that's what the team's focus is as well. Going to Walkinshaw and Andretti United, from where they were to where we are now, I feel like we've definitely been a much stronger team. It's such a hard heritage to live up to. We always kind of reflect on, or anyone in the media reflects on, the Walkinshaw racing team as the old HRT days and its glory days and stuff like that. But, you've got to be kind of honest in the day-to-day age of supercars and how much closer the cars are. Gen 3 is the closest, basically built car from team to team, other than just what you can play around with setup, than what we've ever had in the history of supercars. So the old golden era, you'd say, is the domination is probably a bit further away than what it is. But saying that, there's still some teams out there doing fantastic jobs and still found their window, quite good in the Gen 3 era.
You mentioned Sam Scafidi before. Tell us a bit more about what it was like after such a long period of time working with Adam DeBore to change engineers and sort of get used to a new dynamic.
Yeah, the first of, you got to have so many years with one engineer like Adam, and what we were able to achieve, Bathurst win, race wins, and that time we even spent at Tickford together as well. Like, it was something you got to think that was really cool. It hasn't had many other drivers in the category to have such a long serving relationship, and honestly, deep down inside for me, if Adam wanted to keep going, then I would have kept going together as well. And we both had the same mentality, wanted to try to win a championship together. So, when that obviously ended up coming into this year, and it was the decision more on Adam's part that he was keen to go chase some other different avenues, and initially like, oh wow, this is going to be really tough. Who do you find to try and step into the shoes, and try and have that same belief that I've had in Adam for so long? And it was, the most logical answer was Sam Scafidi, because obviously we worked together back in Tickford days, me and Adam, and Sam had a point where Sam was our data engineer in the really early years, and watching him blossom over the years as a race engineer was like, wow, it's kind of like they had the same analogy, they had the same mentality of working really hard and trying to race those, and probably being a bit crazy on setup ideas and try things and get answers, more so than just having the theory side. So for me as an engineer, that he fit the blueprint of trying to get, and when it all kind of come about, I was like, wow, it doesn't feel like you are taking a step back. It feels like you're on the same level, and let's get into it and move forward. And it's been really cool to see him integrate into Walkinshaw and Andretti United this year. And there's probably been times where I probably haven't let him freely be the engineer that, what his strengths are. And I think I'll reflect that on this Christmas break the most, of what I can do with my relationship with Sam, going into next year, to make sure that we probably get the best out of it, each other. And but in the things we have done and the race wins we got there, SMP was something really, really cool to see, him, analyze what strategy we need for the car and the strength that we have at the moment, that part of the season. And it was funny. I think the other day though, I was watching Fox or something, and they were showing all the minis and the recaps of the back part of the year, and man, he just made such good, strong calls. And I know he gets backed up from the rest of the team, and you have, not just one brain there in those heat of the moments, and the team coming together. Sandown for us was a really tough round. We didn't nail it as a team, but from then and learning from that and how quickly we turned things around, Bathurst, we didn't get the massive result, but watching, every pit stop, every call that we made was the best outcome we could have finished in that race was fifth. So yeah, it was quite cool to see those turnarounds. You got to be proud of those moments because we're not sitting here with the championship in our lap, but for me, watching those team moments is something very special. And Sam, I'm so pumped for next year. I wish we were only less than a month away from the first round because the brain's been ticking, and I know his has as well. And we just want to hit the ground running with our brand new Mustang into next year, which the team's been awesome working in the background to get ready for the end part of the year.
Let's look a little further than next year quickly. As a self-confessed JDM fan, that Toyota announcement must have been music to your ears. You're going to get to race a Toyota in Supercars. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's probably the same answer. It's probably a bit of a broken record, but as cool as that is, and no doubt we're probably going to see a lot more of that behind the scenes over the next 6 months, and where that's kind of getting pushed to. But for us, and for me especially, I have such a rich history of Ford in the sport. I got my first start with Ford, and I know we've still got 12 months that we, as a team, Walker and United, we want to try and honour that privilege to be able to work with Ford and try and give him that first championship in the Gen 3 era. So no doubt all the other Ford teams are firing on all cylinders too. We definitely want to try and make sure we could be the first Ford team in the Gen 3 era to win a championship next year. So we'll work really hard on that. But yeah, Toyota's exciting. It's really exciting for the whole sport as well. It's back to 3 manufacturers in there. And it's really funny that the same 3 manufacturers seem to verse each other around the world in other categories as well. So it's just another bragging rights from down under here if they can get up on top of each other.
Can you take us into the moment of how and when you found out about this Toyota program?
I actually think the Toyota program was probably even the world's best kept secret in supercars for so long. So I'm surprised you guys never even really leaked it that early. So
we got there in the end, Chaz. We got there in the end.
You got there. Of course you did. You would have had to. But even for us, I think the key power people in the team really knew that we're still trying to work it out. I think they I think in the background didn't want to count the chickens before they hatched either. So I think the team found out just before Sandown, which was what it was, and then obviously it all came out then. So yeah, I didn't expect it. We were in a whole team meeting together and all found out together. It was pretty surreal, and then you kind of had to go away and reflect on it a little bit. But like I said, then you're like, okay, that's still at that point nearly 18 months away. We still got to still focus on what we're doing now, and what we're doing now is trying to keep that relationship super strong with Ford and try our best to get the results that they deserve next year.
So when you weren't driving your Ford this year, you were driving a Ferrari and working with Adam in that program as well. How much fun did you have this year in the GT?
It was funny, even though the supercar element with Adam had finished. It's like, oh, well, do you want to come and run a Ferrari next year? So still had that Adam element this year, which was great. The GT World Challenge and SRO and the whole GT3 GT4 platform is something that I love around the world, but it's the first time that I really feel like Australia is going to now, with the backing of SRO and what it's trying to do here in Australia, will grow over the years as well. And for me, it's not that kind of power struggle of like there's supercars and there's GT cars in Australia. I just think from a motorsport enthusiast, we just wants more racing and more opportunity to see big names going head to head week in, week out. If it's in a Ferrari and it's racing a mini enduro series, or if it's in supercars, I think it's just a win-win for everyone. So it was fantastic to be part of that. I was super lucky this year to be teamed up with obviously Adam engineering it, but Liam Talbot, he's one of the fastest bronzer around the world. So and to him to be in that series as well and watching other bronzes in other cars lift this year, like Bathurst was unreal right at the end of the year. Like we had bronzes, I think, doing 204s around there in qualifying, and that's just something crazy. So it just the whole field was really quality this year. I no doubt next year I think it's going to get bigger and better. GT3 and GT4, and yeah, for me, I obviously going to step back from GT3 driving next year in GT World Challenge, and I'm just going to focus on my little team. And we've met the motorsport in GT4. I didn't get to spend as much time as I would have loved to this year, and but we had a fantastic year in that as well. So yeah, pretty pumped to still be plenty of weekends racing. Maybe a little bit less with the helmet on and more with the radio cans on. But yeah, just loving motorsport in Australia at the moment. It's awesome.
Is the plan to do the Bathurst 12 hour though before you hang up the GT3 helmet?
Yeah, there's definitely a moment that I'll probably drive a GT3 at the 12 hour. I know nothing's been released yet, but I'll let someone else release that. But yeah, it's still the one on the cards that I've never been able to achieve. I've had some super fast cars in the 12 hour over the years, and um, been lucky enough to be a factory BMW driver there at times, and that was really cool. And so yeah, we'll see what we wash up in next year, but I'd only do it if I feel like I could be in a pro car again. I've been lucky enough to win in a pro am. Same thing, some fantastic AMS driver carrying my me around the mountain, which was very lucky. But yeah, just keen to try and get that one on the credentials would be really cool. So we'll see what happens next year.
We had a car salesman from Toowoomba on the Summer Grill earlier who sounded pretty keen to do the 12 hour as well, so maybe you should talk to him.
Has he got a car, or
I think
is
he
it
might.
pre-loved?
He said he looked good in red. That's all he told us.
Is that just because he's red cheeks, or?
How did you find that team ownership situation with Method Motorsports this year?
Yeah, it was real. It was a real eye opener, and something new that I've never really had to deal with before. So initially, I think how much effort I had to put in the back behind the scenes. We obviously dropped at the 12 hour with two brand new McLaren Arturas, and which only really arrived like nearly 2.5 weeks before the round. So we did as a team. The team did an amazing effort to get those cars to that race. Learned a lot. We got two cars to the finish, which was something really cool. And then it was straight into thinking how we're going to keep these cars racing for the series. So the best thing that I can reflect on is, other than just the team coming together and the amazing people that came and helped us out throughout the year, but just the amazing customers that came on board, and a couple of silver cars there. That we ran in with the McLarens, supporting Shane Smolin and Lockie Manif in the Pro-Am throughout the year in their Porsche, and watching Shane go back to back titles was something just to be part of, was really cool, because that was, when you have someone that's won a title, the expectation is to go and try and do it the following year. So to help him achieve that was really cool. And then some other guys we had one car that was we swapped around a little bit, and to have Tony Levitt in the McLaren for the last couple of rounds as an AM car and win a couple of races as well straight off the bat from production cars was something pretty special to be part of as well. So just so cool to be part of, the team as well, and some of the backers we had, JGI and WM Waste and Mobile One to come on board was to help support in our first year, because when you have a brand new series, you have a brand new team. And you got guys that Reddy might have some other full-time driving set up in some other categories as well, but you really want to be part of your team. You can only make it happen with some great backers and support. So I can't thank those three especially enough, and Freight Assist Australia with what they transported, our whole transport around the countryside was unbelievable. So yeah, that's my plug for those guys. I know just got to try, and sometimes when you even went to the SR Awards, and sometimes you forget to thank everyone. So I'll try and use your platform to make sure I tick all those boxes.
Let's just come back to Supercars. To finish up, you've said that your goal is to win the championship in 2025. You're a big game player. You know how to handle the pressure. You go pretty good in Adelaide. Do you sort of think this finals thing may work out pretty well for you?
Yeah, I think it really, at the end of the day, can work out for the four guys that are going to end up there. It's you see, I think what the Sunday race at Adelaide really showed is that once the gloves are off with people and the championship's either been decided, the everyone's going to send it, and everyone's going to send it real hard and put their car in some places. So you got to understand when you get to the finals now, and you're 11th to 24th. Those last 3 rounds are just boxing gloves off, and the guys that are going to be in that position to go. Hopefully all the way to the finals, they've got to be really a little bit nervous about that, because you got guys out there that are just willing to whatever it takes to try and get a win or get a trophy or a podium, and they don't care about your championship whatsoever. So I'm really keen. I think it's going to change the dynamic about it. You know, when it first all dropped, you're kind of, wow, how's that all going to work? But the more you reflect on it, you're like, this is going to create more entertainment and more spectacle. Maybe the team owners and the team bosses and mechanics and engineers aren't going to quite like the extra workload, especially when we're rubbing panels harder. But it's going to definitely create a spectacle, and I think the last 3 rounds the viewership will have to be up, because you just don't know what's going to happen. It's going to create that element. But for me personally, it's still got to be week in, week out. You've got to be strong, because you've got to get yourself into that 10. You've got to build that confidence as a driver. You know, Will Brown won the championship this year because he had a fantastic team around him, but he was probably one of the most confident drivers out there, and you only do that by getting the results throughout the whole year. So there's still an element of that, and no doubt for us, we just want to make sure when we hit the ground running at the start of the year that we feel like we can, every week in, week out, make sure we can feel comfortable that we're in a position to win. And there's been some rounds this year we definitely were behind the 8 ball. We learned a lot from it. You bring in a new tyre next year. We go back on the old Super Soft, which has been a bit of my nemesis. But saying that, I felt like we got a better handle on that at the end of the year. So yeah, I'm really pumped for next year with Walkinshaw and Andretti United, second year with Sam and the whole team. It's and second year with Woody as well. And people don't really probably understand how much he kind of pushed me behind the scenes this year, and what he was able to do with his raw speed. And it's probably been a little while since I really dug so much into the data and the drivers things. And there was corners and tracks where he would just smoke me through corners, which I'm like, wow, I better tighten the belts and have a real crack, because the car can do it. So looking forward to that dynamic next year, and also pretty pumped to see what he can do as well.
Chaz, congratulations on a very impressive 2024, and the best of luck for 2025, both with your family and the race team, and obviously your Supercars racing as well.
Thanks very much, guys. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and be safe. And looking forward to all them hard-hitting questions in 2025.
Thanks for tuning in to the KTM Summer Grill. With each episode, we are giving away one of these cool KTM goodie bags. Don't miss your chance to win. If you're watching via Speed Cafe, enter your details below. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description.